Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast. Happy Flyover Friday. The Air and Water Show is here, and it is loud, and you're going to hear a lot of it. Watching the show today, we appreciate you being with us. Got kind of a fun show in store. Before we do that, make sure you do us a favor and hit that like button. I see a bunch of you have done that already. Thank you very, very much. We appreciate that. Make sure you're following and subscribe to the YouTube page as well, and on your favorite podcast app as well. Joey is here and has already given himself a loaf for putting Top 10 Thursday on the screen. It is not Top 10 Thursday. Are we calling this a Flashback Friday? We probably technically could.
I mean, everything is a flashback.
Flyover Friday sounds better.
So here's what we're going to do today. You may have heard.
Or we could just do yesterday's top 10 again. I'm
we
fine
just
with
do
that. That
We
was
just
easy.
replay
We already know
yesterday's
how
show.
that does.
Here's what we're going to do. With Caleb Williams making his preseason debut tomorrow, we're going to go over some of the preseason or some of the NHL debuts for some Hawks legends and look back at how their first games, not preseason games, regular season games, went in the NHL. We had one start last year. We go as far back as if we have time, Stan Mikita, Bobby Hull, those guys. So it'll be interesting to kind of relive that and recap it. But before we do that, Mario, you put a poll up on our Twitter page today.
I did.
That had some interesting results I thought we should maybe share real quick.
Yeah, so far. I mean, the topic of the open captaincy for the Chicago Blackhawks has been discussed this offseason.
All over the place.
Yeah, I mean, the NHL Network has been talking about it. I think TSN put up something on social media about it. We've talked about it on this show a number of times. And look, I think we're all pretty much majority of Blackhawks fans in agreement that it is Connor Bedard's captaincy, that role that he's going to play eventually. But with it being open, with Bedard going into his second season, I think there's still some conversation about, like, do you do it now? Do you continue to wait? Does someone else take it over while it's there? Just kind of having it open is a little awkward at the moment, I would say. So I just put it out there. Today, would you rather a short-term bridge captain to Connor Bedard, so that someone is in the role, aka a Nick Foligno kind of person, or is the right move to make Bedard the youngest captain in franchise history going into this season? He'd be barely 19 years old. Currently, with 537 votes, 45.1% of CHGO Blackhawks voters believe that the short-term plan, a Nick Foligno captaincy, is the way to go, with 36.7% of the vote saying give it to Bedard now, and 18.2% of the vote saying leave the captaincy open this season. So if you haven't had your vote counted, go to our Twitter account, CHGO_Blackhawks, and vote on that for who you think should be the captain or what they should do with the captaincy going into next season. I will say that I said it on a few weeks ago, I think when we were doing our reviews and previews, when we were talking about Nick Foligno, I said my gut feeling is that he'll be named captain for the remainder of his contract. They'll make Bedard an alternate, so it's a 2-year gap. Bedard can grow up, mature, continue to do that, probably grow more into a vocal leader. Right now, he's more of a lead by example type of person. And then they will say, like, okay, here's the next era. Bedard, he's been the face. He is the face. He's going to be the face forever until he's not a Blackhawk anymore. He's the captain. Here's the new era. Here's all the young guys. They'll push it that way. That's what I feel like they're going to do.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, nothing would surprise me. I think all three scenarios are realistic. And I think if they went with any of the three, I'd be okay with it.
Yeah.
I like the idea of giving it to Foligno for 2 years and let him kind of like lord over this thing for a while.
Yeah.
And then who knows what happens for him after that. I think he'll probably retire, but in terms of role with the team and any sort
Assistant
of capacity.
GM.
Yeah, something like, well, I mean,
already got that title.
They could finally fire Derek King, who's to blame for all the Hawks woes, and put Foligno there.
Black cloud that is Derek King.
Yeah.
Finally.
But if they gave it to Bedard today, I would have no problem with that.
Yeah, I'm not putting a whole lot of emotion into any of the decisions they make. Those three options are all fine. I think being a team captain is a big deal, but I also think that like fan bases think it's far more important than it really is.
I agree with that.
Because Nick Foligno and Jason Dickinson and Seth Jones and Connor Murphy are the leaders of this team, whether they have an A, a C, or anything on their jersey. Those are the guys that the guys will lean on in the locker room.
Right.
The C, it is an honor. It certainly is, and I think anybody,
it's an acknowledgement,
especially to wear the C for a franchise like the Blackhawks, that's a huge effing deal, especially when you consider the last guy who wore it. But I think the fans kind of stress it, make it seem way more important than it really is. It's not going to change the leadership in that locker room at all.
Right. I also think this notion of like Nick Foligno, the Hawks are down a goal and it's late and the Hawks just ice the puck and everybody's huffing wind and Nick Foligno looks down at his crest and sees the sea and all of a sudden he's bigger, stronger, faster. And like, I'm not trying to underplay the captaincy, but in the course of a game, it doesn't make a massive difference. So if they kept it open until they feel Bedard's ready, I don't know. I just wonder what it says if, if you give it to someone that's not Bedard now. That feels a little weird to me. A little bit. Again, if it happens, cool. Like I'll shrug and say, awesome. Congrats, Nick Foligno, or whoever it might be. But it just does seem weird to kind of, you kept it empty for Bedard's first year. Then you're going to give it to someone else, and then
you weren't going to give it to him as a rookie,
right? Of course, right. I think even if it wasn't Bedard, it just for Jonathan Taves' legacy, you owe it to be vacant for a while. So I don't know. We'll see. We're going to find out soon. I wonder if
maybe
we don't have any inside info, but the fact that so many news sources have written about this specifically this week, I don't know if there's something percolating or what. I don't know. If only we knew people with the team.
Well, even with Taves, who was the best captain as in team history, longest tenured captain.
Yep.
People will tell you though, in the locker room, Brent Seabrook was a bigger actual leader.
That was a dude
than Jonathan Taves. We saw that famously in the penalty box in Detroit in 2013. These guys are going to lead we know who the leaders are. If they give it to Foligno, awesome. It'll be great. We'll have to have him bring a C so we can put it on the jersey he gave us last year. If it's Bedard, great. If it's nobody, cool. If it's Seth Jones, even better, because I want to watch people's heads explode.
Oh my God, people would melt the F down.
That would be amazing.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. All right, well, why don't we start our features here on NHL debuts with the future captain, ? Connor Bedard. And we were there. That was exciting. That was a fun trip. Cool press box, all that stuff. Connor Bedard's debut game was October 10th, 2023. A 4-2 win over the Penguins, and Connor Bedard had 1 assist in that game. So, a game that they were trailing 2-1, and then scored 3 unanswered goals to win the game, while Mario and I were back at the blood-soaked, hair-soaked Airbnb. I don't know. It was funny. We all just expected that game to be a loss because it's Sidney Crosby and the revamped and newly energized Penguins,
right?
And no expectation for the Hawks at all. And that was just such an exciting and fun night after long travel, early mornings, all that stuff.
Yeah.
To walk out of there with a win was incredible.
Well, and we knew it was you're coming out of a tank season and you don't really know what to expect, and you look at the lineup and you're optimistic, and you come away with a win. I remember after that game and seeing how Bedard played and the team felt different, and it just felt more optimistic. I remember coming away with that and being like, all right, this would be good stuff. This will be good stuff this year. And that is what a prospect coming in like Bedard, that's the impact that they have as soon as they step on the ice. It makes the team feel different, and he had that impact. And obviously, as the season went on, he continued to have that impact while the team got decimated with injuries, and the team around him started to look and feel a lot different as the year went on. But Bedard continued to deliver pretty much every night that same feeling of like, this is different than it was the season before and the season before that. Like this was the beginning of that next wave that you were seeing, and it mirrored those same feelings of when Patrick Kane and Jonathan Taves had their debuts. It was just like, this feels different.
Yeah, that was a fun. Trip. Super grateful we were able to go and experience that. But just that whole day, morning skate felt different.
Yep.
Felt special. I remember going, into that auxiliary dressing room for Connor Bedard's pregame.
Oh my
media,
God! Yeah,
and
it's 700 people packed into
it was
little
a closet.
Yeah,
and the fire safety laws were being broken. I mean, there had to be, no kidding, 100 people and 20 cameras and boom microphones. It was insane.
it was also the first time I had been in a room that crowded since COVID, and I was like,
yeah.
I don't know. It was like we had kind of hit a lull at that point. It's kind of raging out of control again right now, but like we had sort of hit a lull then, but it was still the first time I was really in a room stuffed with people.
Yeah,
where it was shoulder to shoulder. You could feel people
it was
breathing on your neck. And like, oh my
for
God.
sure. You had all the national media there. You had a lot of Canadian media there.
Yeah.
You knew it was a big deal, and here comes 18-year-old Connor Bedard walking into this room, and that had to be where it felt real for the first time.
Yeah.
And then real to me, damn it. The game was fun. Bedard got the assist on the first goal, and the comeback in the third period. It was kind of like, oh, here we go again.
Mm-hmm.
Just like we did to Pittsburgh at the end of the previous season that knocked them out of the playoffs. We kind of have a lot of good luck there in Pittsburgh the last couple of years. So fun experience. It was even worth getting up at the 3:45 in the next morning to get to the airport by 5 a.m.
Well, Greg and Mario were up. Or
Steven and Mario.
Yeah.
Steven and Mario.
Yeah,
were
what are you guys
my
talking
old
about
ass
getting
went
up
to
for the
sleep.
flight?
full of Taco Bell.
Yeah, I was stuffed with Taco Bell and caffeine, and it was good. It was
The other
good.
thing cool
That's
about
why
it-
you three didn't sit next to me on the flight. I had the single seat on the
I
flight
always
home.
sip on myself on flights. Stay away. No one wants me snoring and taking up their space.
In hindsight, I should have made that move on the flight back from Vegas, knowing what we know now.
That's true. Yeah.
Feel bad for the guy that was in the middle between us. I wonder if he made it out okay. But
Hope so.
Oh, well.
All right, before we hit the break zone, we had a super chat I want to get to real quick. That is from Broggy Scald. $5 says, wife and I are going to the home opener. What are your score predictions? We're saying Hawks win 5-2.
Home opener?
I agree.
Who are they playing? Sharks?
I don't know.
Yeah, the Sharks.
Well, they play. Is it the Sharks? Home opener?
Home opener is the Sharks, right? No.
Yeah, no, 'cause
that's
they play
the season opener.
No, they play the first three games
Yeah.
on the road.
In
Utah's the
Utah.
season opener.
Right. Yeah, I believe
Home
the
opener is
Sharks.
Sharks.
So,
So it's the Celebrini Bedard Bowl.
Yeah, 300-1.
Oh,
Blackhawks
wow.
win.
All right.
Yeah. They'll,
Connor Bedard's going to have the first 11-goal game in NHL history. That wasn't the odds. That was the final
Just
score.
11?
300-1.
Just 11 out of the 300?
and he's going to do
He's
a
gonna-
Michigan
he's gonna take the
goal
second and third
on
period
Peter
off.
Mrazek just for fun.
Playing the Sharks. Yeah, I think they're going to win. I'll say 4-2.
I'm going with Broggy. Going
Friggin' fly
5-2.
outta here.
There is a fly in here. I'm
It's
sorry I
on
didn't
your
bathe.
head. I hate it. It's been in here all week.
It is getting bigger. I thought flies only live for a
It's
day.
getting bigger. It's feasting.
It is feasting
Well,
on
not these
leftover
not these mutant
Emily
flies.
Farms.
Yeah.
All right, well, we have a bunch more to get to. We went way too slow for that first segment. So we're going to come back with a pair of legends, Jonathan Taves and Patrick Kane, on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast. But first, it's Friday. It's time for you to head over to Sunnyside and stock up. We're going to tell you about the great deal and why you need to stock up right now. It's on your screen if you're watching. But Sunnyside is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping. I was in a long conversation with a friend yesterday who has become a bit of a cannabis connoisseur And he's kind of said the same thing.
I call those guys potheads back in the day.
Yes, well, now it's fancier. But it kind of had to learn on his own, right? Didn't feel that there was that hands-on experience at the dispensaries near our house at the time. Now with places like Sunnyside, you could walk in, they're going to spend time with you, they're going to make you feel comfortable with your purchase, and you're going to get everything you need. Whether you're a rookie, whether you're a veteran, they've got over 100 strains to choose from. Plus, they got the easy online ordering and in-store pickup. They've got locations in Wrigleyville and River North, including suburban locations too, Champaign, South Beloit, and more. If you're just starting out, Sunnyside is a place to go. They'll steer you in the right direction. They've got my two favorite brands, Good News and Mindy's. I use one of those every day. And again, if you're a pro, they got you covered with tons of strains on the menu. They know you'll love Cresco and FloraCal's incredible quality and consistent products. So here's what you need to do. Visit sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including, listen up, 50% off your first 3 online purchases. That's 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Use that promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify at sunnyside.shop. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright buys every day. Only for 21 plus or Illinois MedCard holders.
Hey, if we have any business owners out there or recruiters or HR folk and you need to hire, well, then you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. And Indeed doesn't just help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/AllCity. Just go to Indeed.com/AllCity right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/AllCity. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Lots of fun predictions rolling in for the home opener. Michael Evans says Blackhawks 200, Sharks -10.
Ooh,
BJD
nice.
says Hawks 698. Sharks have to change cities. I like that. It's a lot of fun.
Send them to Arizona.
So it's a win. We're all agreeing it's a win. Super.
Right.
For the record, we got 30 votes in our poll that we did on the YouTube chat.
Oh, nice.
Pretty close here, but 53% of the people have voted Foligno as the next captain.
That's
So it
surprising
seems
to
to be
me.
a somewhat of a similar split
Yeah.
to the Twitter numbers.
Interesting.
I think people around the Blackhawks community really gravitated towards him as the season went on. The locker room seems to definitely, value his voice and his experience, and he's done it before in Columbus. I don't know. It feels like to me the right move as Bedard becomes the leader.
Sure.
And I think like having someone in the role, I would say, is better than leaving it open. Now that you've done the one season past Taves, I think that's fine. That's the hat tip. You move forward now.
Well, if we had 30-some people vote, we only have 37 likes. That I think we have a lot of people who have not hit that like button. So please do that for us. 3, 2, 1. Let's do a like spike on this Friday. Hit it for us. Smash it for us. Elbow smash it. Shoot it with an F14. Those are the Jets, right? F14?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, there you go. Whatever it takes. Hit that like button. We'd appreciate that. All right, our next on the list of debuts,
F14 Tomcat.
thank you, is Jonathan Taves. That debut came October 10th, 2007, a 2-1 loss to the Sharks. Jonathan Taves scored a goal, was a +1. Noteworthy, the goal came on the first shot of his career.
Just
Kind
like
of
Frank
split the
Nazar.
defense and just roofed one, and they had a really good camera angle on that goal from behind the Sharks net where you saw Taves really fight through the check and score the goal. And it was one of those, I have a lot of these over the last decade or so, one of those arrival moments.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about another one here soon, but that was like when because he missed the first 2 games with the injury, comes out, first shot on goal, scores, and it was like, here we effing go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Here we go.
It was a little different than Bedard because there wasn't the hype. There wasn't the Hawks had not become relevant yet again.
Exactly.
So it wasn't, with both Kane and Taves, it wasn't like we saw with Bedard or like we're seeing, at the end of the year with Nazar and all these other guys are going to make their debuts. People are hyped and they can't wait to see it. Back in, 2007, there wasn't, the diehards, the 3,500 that were going tonight were excited about it, but there wasn't the national media.
Yeah.
There wasn't the Canadian media weren't down here to cover that game or anything like that.
I was going through all these games to get all the info from Hockey Reference, I believe this game had about 13,000 people in attendance. And you have to remember, this is before home games were televised?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it?
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
Yeah.
Because it was the 07-08 season.
Right. Bill Wirtz had just died at that point.
Yeah.
And home games were not on TV until like towards the end of that season because it was too.
They had like a handful, right?
It was but they all came like at the end of that year. I think they put a couple games on like WGN, but the season was already like, because much like Rocky Wirtz, William Wirtz died like right before the season started too.
Bill Wirtz died September 26, 2007.
That's like 2 weeks. That's like a week before the season started.
Right.
So it took them some time. Because you already had it all. You just can't show up to United Center and say, here's a TV truck. We're now on TV.
Right.
But I believe at the end of that year, you started to get some home games on TV. But that game was not televised here.
No, certainly not. And neither was Patrick Kane's debut, which is what we're going to go to next. That one actually came first, but I thought Taves was more noteworthy because of scoring on his first shot.
Yeah.
Patrick Kane's debut came October 4th, 2007, a 1-0 loss at Minnesota. No points for Patrick Kane in that game, but he went on to add an assist in his next 4 games and scored his first goal on October 19th versus Colorado. Ended that game with a goal and 2 assists. That was also the game where Jonathan Taves scored the most insane goal he probably scored in his entire career.
Yeah.
Speaking of arrival moments, I still go back and watch that highlight probably 10 times a year. Like, God, remember that?
Yeah. Again, like it's that feeling where, things feel different. And at that time, like that was where, contrary to this rebuild where it basically kind of launches with Bedard, that was back, you had Seabrook and Keith coming up. You had Patrick Sharp there. Like you had a solid group of like younger players that were pieced together. And then it was accelerated by Taves and Kane showing up at the same time. But yeah, it's just that okay, this team feels different. This feels like something's brewing, something special. And to have that start to that season with those two guys kind of simultaneously, like having their arrival moments, like it's awesome.
I think too, it's you got to put yourself in the historic place where the Hawks were at that time, because there had been some names that were supposed to be the next big thing for the Hawks. Like Tuomo Ruutu was still on that team, and I believe scored the game winner in that. I can go back and look, but I believe he scored the game winner in that game. But he had battled a bunch of injuries and wasn't quite what he had been hyped to be after the years of contract disputes with Bill Wirtz and being called the best prospect not playing in the NHL and all these, the next Peter Forsberg and all these things. Injuries and overhype and a bunch of things kind of prevented that. So Hawks fans were jaded from that. The Arneson Bell Calder days didn't really live up to what they were supposed to be. And you can go back for all these guys that were supposed to step up and be the next big thing that never were. So when Taves and Kane got here and were immediately really good, that's why the Blackhawks bandwagon took off so quickly. You had a perfect storm of these 2 young stars arriving, 3 games apart from each other, the same season. I hate to say it, but Bill Wirtz passing away ramped up some enthusiasm in the fan base because Rocky was taking over and clearly doing things differently. More games were on TV with all of them to come. It was really a perfect storm to regenerate the Blackhawks fan base, and they did it in short order, mainly because of those 2. But there's also those periphery things too that lent to it. And I think that's why, Mario, when you say it felt different, it did, because it wasn't just hype with these guys. They were actually delivering immediately. And they were clearly the best players on the ice.
Yeah. And the way that, we look at prospects now compared to, almost 20 years ago, it's a different thing. Even Patrick Kane as the number one pick was nowhere near the level of like hype and buildup that Connor Bedard was,
right?
But it's those two were getting compared to each other during Bedard's leading up to the draft and everything. So you didn't have that like massive like, oh my God, they have Patrick Kane, and oh my God, this Taves kid is killing it. Like you didn't have that vibe. It was just like, oh, these are new kids coming in. Like, okay, cool, we'll see what happens. And then they just within their first few games, it was just like, all right, you start to believe it.
We got a bunch of people in the comments commenting about how young those guys look now.
Oh my God.
Debut, but
yes.
But we're gonna say the same thing about Connor Bedard here in a few years.
Oh sure.
Where we're gonna look back. I got this cardboard picture of him staring at me during the whole show from this figurine here, and it's like in 5 years we're not gonna recognize who that is.
I know I talk about the NHL 24 Hockey Ultimate Team a lot, but they have a Jonathan Taves card, and he looks so just like he's got a scar on his cheek, and he just looks beat up, and
he's been through some battles.
He just looks like it is a totally different person. I mean, Patrick Kane, just with the hairline alone, he's got the Bill Murray Kingpin thing going on a little bit, but like it's the one guy from his draft day, massively, Duncan Keith. But in terms of like from his playing days, I think Keith still looks the same. Like once he went into hockey Jesus mode, he didn't change a lot.
No, I saw him last summer at Wrigley Field, sat like 4 seats away from him at the Bruce Springsteen concert, and looks like he could still play 28 minutes a night.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Giggity says, let's hope Bedard doesn't look like McDavid 10 years later, who at only 27 looks like 47 because of the Oilers.
It's fine. You could look 27, but as long as he's not playing like he's 47.
That's true.
Yeah.
I'll take an old-ass looking Connor McDavid because he's still the best player in the game.
By the way, I think we maybe retweeted it, the Oilers thing.
I did. I don't know.
Yeah, there's some video going around from moments after they lose the Stanley Cup.
I think it came from like the Oilers app or something like
that.
Or
there's one where you
Plus.
can hear there's one where no one's talking, but you can hear what's happening on the ice, including McDavid winning the Conn Smythe, and he doesn't even move.
No.
He doesn't look up, he doesn't respond, he doesn't there's no reaction at all. Man. And then there's one of Zach Hyman who's just like, we're gonna be back.
Yeah.
Everybody come back. Like he kind of pleading with his teammates to not leave, and he said they got something special. It was cool. These guys, they give a shit.
I was telling you the emotional roller coaster I went on watching that clip of just like I can't even fathom like that, like so close yet so far away feeling, and you're sitting in the Game 7 Stanley Cup final loss. You can hear all the celebration and commotion going on the ice. I'm sure they heard from down the hall the locker room celebration as they're packing their stuff up, getting ready to leave, and then I'm just like, damn, like that sucks. You see it on McDavid and Draisaitl's faces, like, ugh, they were right there. And then you see Corey Perry, and you feel a little bit better about yourself. You're just like, all right, that's not so bad.
Then you turn into Nelson Muntz.
Yeah.
All right, next up on our list, this is not an NHL debut, but this is a Blackhawks debut, and very memorable. Marian Hossa, November 25th, 2009. The Hawks beat the Sharks 7-2. Hossa had 2 goals, including a shorty on a shorthanded breakaway. Hossa missed the first 22 games of the year, coming off shoulder surgery, which I have to say slowly, or I will butcher it. But that was, you're feeling good about the team. You know it's a cup contender, but you've been waiting to see what Hossa was going to be, and immediately had a very Marian Hossa game with the shorthanded goal in the second. Like, he was just awesome, and from his first game until the day he retired, he was beloved here.
Well, and that was the expectation when he signed. It was just like he's that over the top piece, and then you had to wait for it. It was that delayed gratification, but certainly got it.
Yeah, it was the first time that I ever remember the Blackhawks and maybe any Chicago sports team getting the top free agent in his prime.
The only thing close is John Lester.
But that was after.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The first
Lester,
time,
yeah, Lester. Was after
Yeah.
also.
Oh, up until then, 100%.
It was
Because even Rodman was a trade.
yeah.
Like a lot of the bigger ones were trades.
But it was like the Chicago, especially the Blackhawks, never got the big free agent.
No.
Never. They were the guys that lost all their big free
Jason
agents.
Killamore,
Like,
Martin LaPointe,
or they would bring in the big names 6 years after they were worth a shit.
Paul
You know,
Coffey.
here's Paul Coffey for 8 games before he demands a
Clark.
trade. Wendell Clark, Peter Bondra.
Hey, he scored his 500th goal as a Hawk.
Hey, they got to celebrate that. I remember this game because it was the night before Thanksgiving. So we were at our normal watering hole at the time, but everybody wanted to watch the Hawks game. And here it is. It's crowded because it's the night before Thanksgiving, but it's a late start because it was in San Jose, and it's 9:00. And instead of the jukebox being on at our bar, they had the sound for the game on. Like, it was like, wow, this is cool. Like, we're at a bar the night before Thanksgiving, and they've got the sound of the Blackhawks game on.
Yeah, that never happens.
What planet are we on right now? I mean, that would become not such a rare occurrence over the next few years, but talk about delivering right off the bat. You got, you get the Hossa, you're wondering, and then you sign him and you're like, oh, is he damaged goods? Typical
Right.
Chicago. Sign a guy, give him all this money, and he's hurt. And then that first game, you were like, okay, yeah, let's do it.
Well, speaking of debuts that would go on to define a tenure, Chris Chelios' debut with the Blackhawks, October 4th, 1990. The Hawks beat the Rangers 4-3.
Of course they did.
Chelios has a goal, 2 assists, and 7 penalty minutes.
That's a Chris Chelios game.
I have arrived.
That tracks.
So, spent his first 7 seasons in Montreal before coming to Chicago in 1990. He got in a fight with Kelly Kissio towards the end of the game. He got the instigator. Kelly Kissio got a charging penalty. So those two offset. So 7 minutes for both after the fight and the penalties. That is a Chris Chelios box score. And he would go on to do that very, very often with the Blackhawks. That was
The old Gordie Howe hat trick.
yes. That was a very common stat line for him because there were years there in like the later 90s, early 2000s where you'd have Roenick and Gary Suter as like 1 and 2 on the team in scoring.
Yeah.
Even in the years Roenick was there, he had some injury problems, so he wouldn't have had as many games played.
Yeah.
So points per game, Roenick would be the leader. But at the end of the year, when you look at the team leaders, there's number 7 and number 20 right at the top of the list. So I don't know, I thought it was funny going back and seeing like, oh man, yeah, that was a Chelios game.
Had a lot of those. It's the all-time franchise leader in penalty minutes because he
Yes.
had a lot of games where he picked up 7, 17, 25 penalty minutes
It's amazing though that he can.
and still put up 3 points.
Yeah, exactly. It was the end of the game. Thing was pretty much over, but it was just. It's so funny if you were to find a snapshot box score for Chris Chelios, that's the one right there. So that was a really nice debut for him. Another nice debut, Denny Savard, October 9th, 1980. The Hawks beat the Sabres 4-3 at the Chicago Stadium. 3 assists for Dennis Savard. He would begin his NHL career with 6 points in 6 games. He finished his rookie season with 28 goals and 47 assists. That's 75 points in 76 games. So great debut for Denny Savard as well. That incredible draft class.
It was
the Hawks,
1980.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
Savard, Troy Murray,
And
and
Steve
Steve Larmer all
Yeah.
in the same
It's pretty
draft
good.
class. That will
It worked out.
Yeah.
that will get you some wins for sure. He didn't win the Calder though that year, right?
No.
Savard?
Right. No, he didn't. It was scroll. Peter Stastny won the Calder.
Yeah.
So that would have been the 80-81 season. At age 24, he cheated. Totally cheated.
What a bum. That's like Panarin.
Yeah, Savard.
I mean,
finished.
In
fifth
fairness,
the
Peter
voting there.
Stastny had 39 goals and 70 assists.
Because he was 31 years old. He had played 10 years in Czechoslovakia. It's like going to Wisconsin.
Got a super chat here from Oliver Moore is better than Frank Nazar. I think that's how I'm reading it, right?
Yes.
Or Oliver Moore to Frank Nazar.
No, that's the better than.
That's the better than symbol.
Yeah, greater than sign.
He says 2024 Oliver Moore breakout year, plus join the Hawks after. Yeah, I think
Sure.
you could see what happened with Frank Nazar last year with Oliver Moore this year.
Yep.
And maybe Sam Renzel too.
Probably. Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, and like that's great. I think that's the trajectory that those guys are on, and hopefully Moore and Nazar are just as good as each other, and they're both top 6 or better prospects.
All right, now we're going to get into some less impressive debuts.
Great. Let's bring the mood down.
Duncan Keith debuted October 5th, 2005. A 5-3 loss to Anaheim.
Tough.
No goals, no assists. He did have 24 minutes and 18 seconds of ice time, which is insane for an NHL debut.
Here you go, kid.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Keith would go 7 games without recording a point. His first point, a goal, came on October 23rd versus Minnesota. The next night in Nashville, he would add 2 assists. He ended the year with 9 goals and 12 assists, 21 points in 81 games, and averaging 23-26 per night of ice time.
Could you imagine giving 23 minutes of ice time to Kevin Korchinski last year?
Nope.
No, they gave him 19 and a half.
That's still 4 minutes less a night than Duncan Keith.
Well, remember,
got.
that was the thing.
But Duncan Keith was also 22.
And when
He had
Dale,
2 full AHL
Yes.
seasons at this point.
and when I mean, it was a fact, but Dale Talon always liked to talk about the fact that he had the superhuman lung capacity and could handle huge minutes with no trouble at all. I almost feel like it was kind of intentional. Like, see, look, first game we played him 25 minutes. Like, look at this. Look what we did.
Proving it right. Yeah.
Having no idea who was going to be, one of the best defensemen of his generation.
Don't ever question my lung expertise ever again.
Well, that same night, Brent Seabrook made his debut. That was a 5-3 loss at Anaheim, same game. He had 1 assist, -1, 17:07 of ice time. That season, Brent Seabrook ended up playing 69
Nice.
games with 5 goals and 27 assists. He averaged 20:02 of ice time that
He was
year.
actually a +5 on that 05-06 team. Good for him.
05-06 Blackhawks.
Not good.
It's not great.
Not good.
I just want to remind myself.
It's not great.
Not good.
Duncan Keith led the team in ice time, 23-26, just ahead of Yaroslav Spacek's 45 games and Adrian Aucoin's 33 games. So if you take guys that played the majority of the season, second behind Keith was Jim Vandermeer.
Good old number 23.
Yeah. And then Brent Seabrook averaged 20 minutes a night that season
Who's
as
the
well
leading
at
scorer
20
on
years
that?
old.
Wasn't Vandermeer came back in the Zhamnov trade, I believe.
I always get Jim Vandermeer and Ryan Vanden Bosch confused.
Yeah,
for each other.
Vandermeer was
No,
decent.
I think you're right that he was in that trade.
Yeah, Vanden Bosch was he was only a goon. That's all he did. Vandermeer was a decent stay-at-home. I mean, not great. Probably not a cup guy. Not a top 6 on a champion, but solid bottom pair guy and an average team.
Traded that got a piece. He was traded where the draft pick became one of the dynasty guys.
The 05-06 Blackhawks were led in scoring by Kyle Coulter with 59 points in 79 games.
Oh, well, it took me to cap friendly.
Good
So
old number 19.
Second was Mark Bell with 48 points in 82 games.
they got Ben Eager for Jim Vandermeer.
Okay.
So yes, okay. So February 19th, 04, the Blackhawks acquired Jim Vandermeer, a 2004 second round pick. Want to guess who that was?
2004
Ryan
second round?
Bickle.
Ryan Bickle,
Okay.
and the rights to Colin Fraser
So there's two of your
Two
cup
cup
guys
winners.
there.
for Alexei Zhamnov, a 2000, and Philly gets Zhamnov, a 2004 fourth, which turned into Michael R.J. Anderson.
Cool.
Who could forget his career?
Sounds like a guy that's on a sitcom show.
Then
Introducing
December 18th,
Michael.
2007, the Hawks trade Vandermeer to the Flyers for Ben Eager.
So you got,
There you go.
yeah. So in those 2 deals that Vandermeer was involved in, you got 3 guys who were on the ice for your Stanley Cup, your
Yep.
first one.
That's That's how you do it. Good stuff there. All right, so next
the
up,
team had 2 20-goal scorers. That's it. Oof.
they were really bad.
They were bad.
Times are looking up.
That's how they got. Well, no, that was the following year they got the number 1 overall pick.
No, that would be the next one, right? Oh no, yeah, following year.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Next up, Stan Mikita made his debut November 27th, 1958, a 2-1 loss to Montreal. No points for Makita. He only played 3 games that season. Picked up 1 assist and his only assist and point in his second NHL game versus the Rangers. In 1959-60, he scored 8 goals and 18 assists in 67 games. So Makita didn't really get the offense going till 3 or 4 years into his career. But once he did,
it was pretty good.
No one for the Blackhawks has done it more.
It's pretty crazy to think that the guy that holds the record for the most points in franchise history only had 26 in his first full season.
Yeah. Yeah, it was not...
I mean, he did play...
I was going to say, play 20 years. That
helps. More than, yeah, I mean, he played in 4 decades. He started his career in the late 50s and retired in 1980.
Even his third year. So first year, like I said, 3 games, 1 point. Second year, 26 points in 67 games. Third year, 53 and 68. Then they really started coming. 77, 76, 89, 87.
When did Stan Mikita curve his blade?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I think we have our answer.
Yeah, well, in his best season, 66-67, had 97 points in 70 games. So there you have it. So while we're on the trend of older Blackhawks, why don't we go to Bobby Hull?
Statues.
October 8th, 1957, a 1-0 win over the Leafs. No points in that one. He wouldn't record a point until he scored his first NHL goal in his 7th game versus Boston. He'd end his rookie season with 13 goals and 34 assists in 70 games.
Yeah. I mean, he scored almost 600 goals after that rookie season.
Yeah. Again, when did the blade curve?
Yeah. And it doesn't. All you got to do is just line up those points in a
seriously.
column and you'll figure it out real quickly when they realize they could do that and the difference it would make. Ugh. Jizzo with a name I haven't thought of in a long time. Jeff Hamilton. During that time, Jeff Hamilton was arguably one of our best players. Good old number 51. Yeah. 51.
Yeah. I was thinking 53, but that was Brett McLean.
Oof.
Twice. So good they had to have him twice.
So nice, you got to do it twice.
All right, the last debut I have on my list, and if you guys have some memorable ones, let us know. We can look them up and talk about them. Corey Crawford, January 22nd, 2006, a 3-2 loss versus Minnesota. Corey Crawford comes in the game in relief of anyone?
Oh, I have the notes right here.
Ooh,
former first-round pick.
Yes. Anyone? We'll leave it on the screen for a second.
Pick?
Yeah, a former first-round pick who...
Gosh, first-round goalie pick.
Was no damn good.
You won't get it. Adam Monroe.
I was just going to say that shit.
36-30 into the game, Crawford comes in, stops all 7 shots. His first start was a 6-5 shutout loss in St. Louis where he stopped 29 of 34 blue shots. So, again, I think that
How many went to the glove side?
I didn't have the heat map on there. I should have looked. A lot of people asking about Andrew Shaw's debut.
Yeah.
So I'm going to look that up here.
He had a goal in a fight. Was it the Flyers?
It is at Philly,
7 hits or something like that, too. It was a wild
It was
debut.
memorable
A
because...
5-4 loss at Philly.
Yeah, he had a goal. He had a fight.
Where is he? Yep. and 4 shots on goal.
I remember that was memorable because there was like no hype around it. It was just like, oh, who's this Andrew Shaw kid?
Well, I'm glad you said that.
And I was like, oh, wow, this kid's fun.
The thing is that he was called up with Dylan Olsen.
Right.
And Dylan Olsen was supposed to be the one that was like, okay, this guy's a piece of the future.
That's Utah native Dylan Olsen.
Yes. And that's 2 shows in a row we've talked about Dylan Olsen.
As we've learned.
And Andrew Shaw was like, you know what? I'm never going back to Rockford. Kiss my ass. I'm here to stay. And a guy whose game didn't change from AHL to NHL. There was no drop-off statistically. He's kind of the same guy. And I think he surprised the Hawks with how effective he was. I mean, that's found money.
Because that was a guy that, we all know the backstory.
You had nothing invested in him.
Undrafted his first year, his first year of draft eligibility, nobody drafted him. And the Hawks take him in, the 5th round, his second year. And it was like, Andrew Shaw. And I remember seeing, oh, this guy's tiny. He's wearing 65. He'll be here for one game, and that's it. That must have been the only jersey they had left in the locker. It was like, nobody wears 65. This was a preseason game, and then he had that game, and you were like, all right, that was fun. And, the legend, of course, grew. He was one of the most popular players, of that era. There's a kid coming up soon that reminds me a lot of him.
Yep.
In Samuel Savard. Hopefully he doesn't say stupid things during his career.
That would be good. Just
sometimes
stop talking for a while.
He's definitely going to talk a lot in his career.
Yes, but just sometimes saying nothing is good too.
Yeah. Just call him a poopy head and move on. I did forget Jeremy Roenick, who I do have on the list here. That was
saying things you regret.
October 6th, 1988, a 2-2 tie. Ugh.
Oh, nice.
Versus the Rangers. No points, finished a -1. Roenick would score his first goal and point in his fourth NHL game against the North Stars. The next night in Washington, he'd score his second and pick up 3 assists after going scoreless in 3 games. To start his career, he now had 5 points in 5 games. He played 20 games that season, ending with 9 goals and 9 assists.
It's pretty good.
He was a man.
And his first NHL goal, fun fact, anyone know this? Scored in a jersey without his last name on it.
51, wasn't it too?
No, he was 27, but there was no name Roenick on there. It was some kind of I don't know. He's told the story many times, and I'm sure it's changed many times.
Did the jersey get stolen, or
no? I think it was just like a
stitching
situation.
Oh, weird.
I don't know. Couldn't get it from Gunzo's in time.
Bill Wirtz Blackhawks. Man.
Yeah.
Right.
You got to pay for every letter.
Yeah.
But
he talked about getting in an accident on the way to the game, like a car accident, and all this crazy stuff.
When we were at Summer League for the Bulls this year, there was one player who just didn't have a name on the back of his jersey, and I was like, "Did they sign this guy in the concourse?"
Oh my God, it's Matt Peck.
Before we started,
He's playing in Birkenstocks.
Everybody else had a jersey with the name, and
he was selling cotton candy until the second quarter.
Right, I was like, "Did they see this guy?" And be like, "You look big.
We need to
get out there."
You have gym shoes. Get on the court.
Yeah, right.
Nate says he just looked up Roenick in that year. He joined the Hawks after his junior season ended. On his junior team, he had 70 points, but only played 28 games.
That tracks.
Good Lord.
Looking at, I love going on like Hockey DB and stuff, and just looking at like guys that were like NHL Hall of Famers, just looking at their like junior numbers, and some of them are just absolutely ridiculous. Like Mario Lemieux had like 200 points in like 80 games in like one of his junior seasons.
Yeah,
like
some ridiculous
just insane
numbers out there.
I love looking at stuff like that. Mario Lemieux, 70 games, 282 points.
Jesus Christ. That's average of 4 points a game.
133 goals in 70 games.
He also had 97 penalty minutes.
Average.
In the playoffs, he had 52 points in 14 games.
Just like, how do you not just jump on his back and tackle him every time he gets the puck at them?
Because then he takes the puck and puts it directly on the stick to an open teammate, and they score. It's one of my favorite hockey memories. I've probably told this story before. I apologize. My buddy, growing up, his big brother was a huge Penguins fan, because why would you be a Hawks fan? They were terrible. So he took us to a game at the stadium. Actually, it was United Center. It was later in the career. But it was like 5 or 6 rows off the glass, and Lemieux was just standing there on the glass. And I'm like, someone get him. Like, just grab him, tackle us, do something. And as soon as a Hawk moved to him, he's like, thank you. Boom. Pass right on the tape. And I don't remember who scored. It didn't matter. He would hit anyone. And everybody was open all the time when he was on the ice because everybody was in such a panic. It was incredible. Like, hit him. Oh.
Yeah.
Now I see why
That's
you
don't
do
do that. Yeah.
Just let him stand there. He can't hurt you if he's not moving.
Look at this 1983-84 Laval Voisins roster in the queue. They, besides Lemieux's 282 points, they had 4 other 100-point scorers.
Well, yeah, somebody had to score all those goals.
Jacques Goyette, whose hockey DB page ends in 1983-84. Francois Sils, Yves Couture, and Alain Bisson all had 100 points that year. Vincent Damphouse was on that team. 65 points in 66 games as a 15-year-old.
That's All-Star Game MVP, Vincent Damphouse. Didn't he win
Vinny Danfus?
Didn't he win the MVP at the Chicago Stadium?
I feel like he won some MVP that pissed me off.
I thought he was the MVP of the game at the Chicago Stadium.
Let's see.
He definitely won an
All-Star
All-Star game MVP. I remember that because that's a name.
91. Yep.
See, all right.
Being one of only 4 players at that time to ever score 4 goals in a single All-Star game.
Don't ask me what I had for dinner last night, but I could tell you who the 1991 NHL All-Star game.
God, these pictures look ancient.
They are.
I was at that game, and that is an ancient photo.
Because it's film, it's not digital.
Oh my God!
They actually had to develop them in a black room. You're lucky there's still prints available.
I'm an old man.
We are old.
You're old men. It's ordinary men. That's all we can do.
Ordinary
Yeah, he
old
was.
men.
He was one of. He and Kirk Muller, like kind of like similar in my mind. I was way younger then, but like I don't know, like big numbers but kind of soft was always kind of my impression of those guys. I don't know. Vincent Danfus, good name though.
Yeah, that name is what I remember the most. But yeah,
This picture of Kirk Muller on Hockey DB, he looks like the dude from American Pie, Stifler.
he does look a little. Yeah,
It's just like him.
he does. I don't remember Kirk Muller being soft per se, but then again, I
don't know either.
I was too young to really know.
I was too. I would probably make a judgment based on a guy's face.
Well, based on that picture, then yes,
He looks like one of our salesmen.
a little bit.
I'm wrong about that. He had
Yeah, I was gonna say Kirk Muller was kind of a tough guy.
a lot
wasn't
of
he?
penalty minutes.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm thinking of Pierre Turgeon. That might be who I'm thinking
Could
of.
be.
He was pretty soft. Confirmed.
Speaking, we were talking about that guy that wore number 27, the number 27 Hall of Fame
Oh yeah.
shirts. If you pre-ordered those are out in the mail.
Yes.
In the way.
Should be getting those by next week if you ordered them. And if you were waiting to order them, they are in stock. So go ahead and get yourself one of those 27C Hall of Fame shirts and be the coolest kid in your neighborhood.
Yeah, they're very sweet. I like those. I'm looking forward to having.
We're gonna have to coordinate which days next week we wear them.
Yeah, that's
so we're
true.
not all wearing them on
We'll
the
figure
same
it out.
day.
Yeah, get yours at chgolocker.com. We should also say, is it too late to get tickets to the takeover? I would imagine so. There were only a couple left yesterday. I'm sure they're sold out.
Let's check it out. Also.
But hey, if you're going to the Sox game tonight, Sox and Cubs,
have fun.
look for the CHGO crew. They're going to be there. They'll be easy to find. When you see a big cluster of fans, that is against the Cubs, so it should have a little more attendance than usual. But they're going to be out there. You can check allchgo.com, see if there's any tickets left. And I know they're going to be a Turtles pregame.
Yeah.
So if you want to just stalk the takeover, you can do that.
Yeah.
But that's tonight. And then
Get there.
August 23rd, we've got the Kickoff Classic Golf Outing at Cog Hill. It's getting close. We have limited spots. There's only 18 holes. So get your groups in. There's still room for a couple foursomes, and you could always buy single tickets, 2 tickets, whatever you need. But get in there soon. There's also, whole sponsorships, all those things available. That's brought to you by the Big Drive Energy Podcast and CHGO Sports. And with all this stuff, the merch, the takeover, the Kickoff Classic, if you're a diehard, you're going to save 20% on all of them. So make sure you're a diehard today. That's what we're talking about, like where you say it pays for itself. You get a free shirt when you sign up. You save 20% on a couple events. Boom, there's your fee for the year, and you get all this stuff anyway, as well as access to our great written content and our members-only Discords, which gives you first access to our Mailbag Monday segment. When you ask those questions in the Discord channel, in the specific Mailbag channel, your questions get priority Mailbag Monday, and guess what? That will be our next show. So get those questions in via the Discord. If you're not a diehard, that's cool. We're going to send a tweet out probably on Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon. Respond to that tweet with your question, and we will get it answered on Monday and or Tuesday.
Also, if you're a diehard, send us a video of your question.
Yeah.
We'll put it up on the show, and it'll be a fun little venture for us. So if you want to do that, do it that way. Video questions are always acceptable, and trying to do something fun.
Yep. And Jason says, does CHGO ever set up a stand and sell merch outside of venues like random ones I would usually see outside of Wrigley? We don't do that.
No.
But at the golf outings, there's a merch table. They usually have a selection of shirts.
Plenty of stuff.
They've got the CHGO polos with our guy Nux on there. Those are really cool. and some other stuff. They had Nux towel available at the last golf outing.
I got the towel at the Cookout Classic. So
yeah,
all
so
ready
that's
on the
where you
bag.
would find. And I think our tailgates we sell merch,
Yes.
if I'm not mistaken, because
There's
we usually have
tailgates.
kind of a swath of real estate that we have, and we can
Yeah.
kind of set up tents and stuff there.
Those are starting up again soon.
Very soon.
Can't wait.
Diehards get discounts on that as well.
You're seeing a theme here.
September 8th is the first one, less than a month away.
Can't wait.
Should be fun.
It's going to be a good time.
Tomorrow is going to dictate how a lot of people feel about this football season.
It shouldn't, though.
It shouldn't. We're just telling you
I
now.
know. A lot of-
Remember,
a lot
Duncan
of- a
Keith
lot-
didn't
a
have
lot
a
of-
point until 7 games.
A lot of knee-jerk reaction and hot takes are going to be exposed tomorrow. One way or the other, either really good or really bad. I'm going to watch the first quarter and then
I'm watching
find
until
some-
number 18 hits the bench.
right. So one series, maybe two, and then I'm good to go.
I just hope he wins the backup job from Brett Rippon. It's him. It's Williams and Bajan fighting for the number 2 position.
That's true.
You can't play Rippon. You gotta keep him safe.
You got to keep him good. Yeah, he's your best quarterback.
That's exactly right. All right, we'll talk to everybody Monday. Thanks for being with us. We appreciate it. If you're heading out to Metallica tonight, look for me and Greg. Greg's always easy to find.
What are you saying?
Well, your Roosevelts are always
Oh,
very colorful
okay.
and
And
you know. And you're
big.
how tall are you? 6'3"?
6'2"-ish.
6'2", yeah. I'm
Slouch, though.
I'm a small. I'm a short king.
Right.
Not like Pete Blackburn, apparently. Hope. Anyway,
still on
still a little bitter about that.
Still on that one.
It's fine.
No wonder,
All right.
No wonder he hasn't been on our show all summer.
Oh, King Tanner got their shirt today. Awesome.
Nice.
Sweet. Send us a picture. All right, we'll talk to everybody Monday at 2:30 on Mailbag Monday. If you've not done it yet, please hit that like button. And we'll talk to you then on the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast.